Getting comfortable with uncomfortable culinary skills. Have you ever found yourself avoiding pastry, baking, maybe butchery? Because, well, you're not a pastry chef, you haven't really cut meat beyond cutting steaks, or you're not a baker. Or maybe telling yourself that you're not the systems guy, not the spreadsheet guy, or not a great leader. See, I've been there. I've been those things, I've denied those things, and I've tried to pretend that I was never going to do those things too. Very often, what it really comes down to is getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. Getting comfortable with new culinary skills, especially the ones that don't come naturally, starts by removing friction, simplifying the path, and giving yourself space to suck at something new so you can practice and get better. And in this video, I want to show you how I approach the development of foreign skills like pastry, breads, or mastery of international cuisines as an executive chef. And then we'll take it a little higher level and zoom out and look at how that same mindset can apply to bigger picture problems. So now if you're going to check out, here's the one thing I'd like you to take away. Comfort with new skills starts with structure, not confidence. Confidence comes later when it comes in a structured fashion. Now, stay with me if you want to go deeper into that. Here's 5 steps from structure to confidence. After spending 30 years in the kitchen and the last 6 coaching executive chefs, I've realized that most chefs, executive chefs specifically, stall out because they have too much on their plate. And the discomfort of starting over on something new can be a huge mountain to climb, and therefore gets avoided. And that's why I want to share my process so you can set yourself up to succeed at the unfamiliar once you recognize it for what it is. And if you're working on developing a skill, whether it's pastry, packaging your expertise, or structuring performance, and you're not sure where to start, then I can help you. This is what I do every single day with chefs all around the world in order to simplify processes, incorporate structure, and gain confidence in the areas that start off feeling impossible. You can do that by booking a call with me below, and let's walk through how you can train that skill just like any other part of the craft. Now, let's get into it. From 2008 to 2009, I was working on getting an international visa to go and work in the United Kingdom, but I couldn't make any progress because of a freeze on them. And long story short, I needed the position quick. I'd left my job, I was trying to go overseas, those things weren't connecting. So I ended up getting connected with an old friend, and he connected me with a club in northern Massachusetts as a pastry chef for the summer season. And truth be told, when I took the job, I was in way over my head because I would need to prepare a lot of things that I myself had never prepared. So I tried to set out to fix that. As I was writing menus and reviewing the needs for the position, I thought back to pastry fundamentals at the CIA. And what I remember most was that we didn't start with wild experimentation or creativity, right? We made genoise, we made pâte à choux, we made lemon curd and anglaise. Why? Well, because those recipes worked. They're tried and true. They taught us techniques, they built muscle memory, and they gave us a pastry foundation to build upon. And that was the key. The reason I was successful in savory cooking was my foundation of sauce making and all of those cooking techniques that yield great, deliverable, consistent food. And that's what I needed to build in a crash course kind of way. Now, years later, it turns out that that approach works just as well for mastering food cost, writing prep systems, and learning to lead a team. Step 1, simplify the path from the beginning. Set up a structure that simplifies your learning and do some gathering in advance. Now, if we're talking about pastry or we're talking about desserts, I recommend doing some research and gathering for proven dishes, proven recipes. And what I would tell you here is that it's okay to play other people's music. I think there's a lot that can be learned by executing proven processes, executing proven recipes, and leaning on those things. Hell, I still use the quick bread recipes from the apple pie bakery when I need a blueberry muffin. And that same concept can apply to leadership as well. Look for simple scripts, look for processes, look for principles that chefs have developed that you can incorporate them into your platform. So gather that stuff. Have it ready for when you need it. Step 2, while you're thinking about all of those individual little pieces, make sure that you're taking the big skill and you're deconstructing it into smaller executable components. If you think about a great dessert will have a variety of different components, from frozen elements to crunchy to creamy to fruity to saucy elements and even chocolate elements, etc. There's more for sure. But if you break a dessert plate down into those smaller components and create subcategories, you can gather and collect the individual pieces that make up the whole. And that way you can start pushing towards a decent minimum product from the beginning. Because I think that's one of the caveats as an executive chef when it comes to practicing something new, is being in need of delivering a good minimum standard from the beginning. You're probably likely to do that with a career of culinary skill behind you, but when it comes to the foreign, it's really important to get down into those very specific pieces and know exactly what you're trying to deliver. Then we move on to the next step, step 3, practice with patience. Just a little reminder that practice is the mother of true skill, and practicing with patience and with guidance, well, that's the mother of mastery. And if you start by practicing each component individually, just like we did back in culinary school, I think back to skills, or actually more specifically Intro to Hot Food, where we literally took the components that we executed in skills and now integrated those into plates that worked. The whole thing came together so much faster because not only were we working on dishes that were tried and true and worked, we were working with formulas that worked as well. Think about making a cake, if you're setting out to make a layered cake, it's a lot more complicated than breaking it down into baking the perfect cake, executing a really nice, delicious soak, perfecting a really nice creamy filling or fruity, and even making the perfect buttercream. And although I'm talking about pastry, this applies to SOPs, profit and loss statements, understanding of finance, team check-ins, team development. When you can break things down into its smaller components, then you can really hone in on the individual pieces that need the most work. And that's why I use the 8 domains to help chefs develop their structure. Step 4, keep it simple as long as you can. Our nature leads us to overcomplicating things probably fairly quickly. But it's really important to first build competence in those parts and then practice the development of the competence. And the easiest way to do that is to avoid rushing into complexity in the whole piece. Avoid making a 7-layer cake when you haven't nailed the genoise and you haven't necessarily nailed a 3-tiered cake with a filling, a soak, and a frosting. Take steps, keep it simple as long as you can. And then step 5, get feedback and iterate. Growth can occur without feedback, but feedback, especially useful, educated feedback, accelerates this entire process exponentially. Think back to a good learning environment, be it culinary school or the ideal kitchen. Sure, there's self-made people, but I'm trying to help you accelerate the process, not send you through a maze, right? Those environments are designed to help you get feedback at those critical points so that you can improve. And this is where a coach, a mentor, or competition can really change the game for you because you're going to get a different level of feedback from people who've been there so you can incorporate that. Learning new skills and developing them accelerates dramatically when you have clarity on what's working, what's not, and how to fix it. Having a great mentor or coach by your side through this process is going to provide that. Remember that everything can be broken down into smaller components. Everything. Leadership, for example, comes from communication, delegation, coaching, feedback, command, counterbalance, systems, etc. And each one of those pieces can be broken down even more subsequently. And when you do that, it becomes something that we can work on. When you do that, it becomes an individual task that we can now work to improve, as opposed to being overwhelmed with this big, massive, indigestible ball of nonsense. So let's bring it back to where we started and wrap this up. Whether you're trying to bake a cake, develop a dish, or build a new training system, or even get better at managing finances, the process is the same. First, simplify the path. Collect the resources that you need for down the way. Break it down into its smaller pieces. Take the time to practice with patience, purposefully. Build confidence through repetition and stack your wins. And then finally, get educated feedback, because going at it alone may help, it may get you there, but you may also be creating a massive arc in your timeline. And then incorporate that feedback. Mastery doesn't come on the first attempt of anything. It comes from very focused practice with feedback. And practice is all about making it a little bit easier to keep showing up day in and day out, especially when it's uncomfortable. I think the most dangerous thing that we can do as executive chefs is to stop learning. Because when we stop growing, our kitchens stop growing, and that's why I have this channel. That's why I shared this structure for development with you, so you can continue that path and even share it with the people that work for you. So whether you're learning a pas de choux or packaging your expertise into a development program for your sous chefs, it's all the same game. It works so much easier with a structured approach. No matter what, growth starts where the comfort zone ends. But you don't necessarily have to knuckle your way through it. If you're serious about turning those foreign skills into strengths, this is the work that I do every day with chefs who want to thrive in their role. And I do that by helping them build their structure. And if you'd like to develop yours, use the link below to schedule a call with me and let's get started. And if this video helped you re-engage a challenging area, be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more. And if you'd like to avoid many of the mistakes that I made throughout my career, I invite you to check out this video here. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.